So the first card you have, Gemini, is the bear. Number 15, so 1, 5, 6 are coming through strong. And then further down it says 10 of clubs. So even the number 10 and 1 are coming through strong with this energy. So we have the bear here. Bear is earth energy, grounded energy. It's very strong, but it doesn't need to prove. When we see a bear, you know, we don't really go to tame it. We kind of move away from the bear. So it has that, you know, it has that raw power, that strength. And everybody, you know, is just knows the strength of the bear. You know, the bear doesn't need to go on the rooftop or on the mountain and shout or roar for people to know how strong a bear is. So here, Gemini, this is not a card of shouting out your strength. It's more about staying grounded in your power, knowing that you are powerful, knowing that your inner core is powerful. Further, it says here, you have more strength than you realize, not the kind that dominates, the kind that protects, provides, and endures. The bear doesn't prove its power, it simply is, and that is your invitation. Embody that kind of quiet, undeniable strength. So yeah, this is about protective bears or extremely protective. We know that. We are not strangers to the bear energy, how they look after their herd, their kids. You know, it's a very young energy. And, you know, it's just that the family feels, you know, bear family feels very safe around the bear because it provides that kind of warmth and stability and safe environment. So that's what this energy is about for you, Gemini. Gemini, you're the third house. You're the mutable air. So this energy is asking you to ground, you know, and for the most part, air signs are also a lot communicative. They talk a lot, they learn a lot, they socialize a lot. But here you're getting the earth energy, Gemini, which means that it's asking you to, you know, stay grounded, I feel. Like, you know, it's an energy where you are strong, you're powerful, but, you know, there is you don't need to go onto the rooftop and shout it out that you're strong and powerful. You know that you're strong. And you can do that without any kind of a, you know, dominance or without dominating others and things like that. So a very kind of energy that's asking you to, you know, take a more calmer approach to things, to not get aggressive, which I don't think Geminis are there, you know, but this energy for some reason is asking you to take a non-aggressive approach, to be the leaders that you truly are, but, you know, without the domination. You know, there are two kinds of leaders that we have, and this energy is asking you to be the calmer leader, to be the more grounded and steady leader that people look up to. You know, with changing modern times, it's like in the past, yeah, there was aggressiveness and most of the leaders were aggressive, but in today's times, you know, the modern day approach is to be more compassionate. Compassionate leadership is something that's looked up to. So it further says over here, don't use this quiet authority to avoid communication. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, the silent mode. Like, don't go the silent mode on anybody, because communication is very important, and we all know that. You know, there is, it further says here, don't use this bare strength as an excuse for coolness or emotional unavailability. Because, you know, you risk being rigid, you risk being disconnected from your own emotions. You kind of get into a controlling, you know, power dynamics when we are, you know, avoidant of our emotions, disconnected from emotions. We get into a power dynamics. which is quite the contrary to what Gemini energy is. You're the air energy. Air is free-flowing. It's very flexible, very fluid. So I feel that when it's necessary to communicate, definitely communicate, but use kinder words. Don't be intimidating, especially with our body language, the words we pick. Being mindful of, everybody else's opinions as well. Otherwise, sometimes we could appear, as if we don't care and, a little cold and detached. So you risk that with the, the other spectrum, the other side of the bear energy. It's like, you don't want to listen, I can't hear you, la, la, la. Or it's like you are very rigid with your ideologies and you don't want to be flexible, you don't want to bend, you don't want to accommodate people. There's it's like those are the negative connotations of quiet strength that you don't care. You just leave people here and there, It's like stonewall people can talk to you, but you're not responding. Because, you don't care about what they say. You don't care about anybody's needs. You only care about yourself. And things like that can also, happen with the negative spectrum of these energies. I'm not saying this is your energy. I'm just giving you the negative connotation of the bear energy. So be mindful of how you use your strength, because sometimes, we don't see how we're coming across and other people look at us in this way. And that's how you know that the other spectrum of the bear energy is playing out. Now, it further says over here, the bear embodies earth fully, not abstract strength, but concrete, physical, and tangible power. You are present, you are real, your strength can be felt. Because Gemini, you don't need to prove anything, You have a solid presence. You are a force in this world. Your presence, your power is for real. No, it's not just an imagination of you. This power and this presence of yours is real. Now, some of you can actually be the bears of the world. Bears is an earth energy, solid energy. They're actually it's a building energy, just like the bear energy is also a builder's energy. So some of you could actually be building something, whether it's actual building with concrete and stones, or you could be the plumbers and the electricians in that world of real estate, or in general as well. But other than that, you could also be building your finances, your projects, your business, your work, whatever that is. So bears are the builders. Now, some of you could be stepping into leadership roles where you're required to have the authority, where you're required to be more solid, where people can lean on you. So I do feel that Geminis are tapping into the earth element right now, where they're becoming more solid, less scattered, less scattered, less air, less in their element. And I feel that when you talk, the words have the weight, they have the gravity, they have the authority. I also feel that, people are able to rely on you, whether it's at home or in your professional life. There is more reliability on you. And it's like you are being, you're stepping into leadership roles. You are being very decisive, because Gemini is a dual sign. Yeah, the collective Gemini principle is of duality. But I feel that here you're being very solid with your decisions. You have the clarity, you have the vision, you're making clear choices, you're not wavering from them. Yeah, and I feel that some of you might be called to speak, whether, you could be the speaker, the keynote speaker, or, public speaker of some sort. And then you have to have that voice, which feels authoritative. So some of you could be stepping into those roles as well. When you step into leadership roles, decisions have to be really thought through. There is, second chances, second guessing is not something that leaders would be, doing, varying with their decisions and things like that. So I do feel that your decisions will have that weight. They will have the, stability. Now, there is actually a movie called The Bear. And, I've seen that series. It's a beautiful series. It's led by Carmen Berzaro. And, it's the direct manifestation of this energy. There is pure energy in there. There is grounded strength. You know how it doesn't crack under pressure. So it's like, being solid, leading from a solid ground, from a solid space. The Bear movie, the Bear series, sorry, not movie, it's a TV series, it's a TV show. And it's an amazing show and completely embodies the bear. The next card you have, Gemini, is the card of gaslighting. This is nothing but a fancy word for illusions. And I would say, not only illusions, I would say some kind of a distortion somewhere, some kind of a... Now, with this energy, I feel, Gemini, it's all about, maybe it's a certain situation, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, but I feel there might be a certain situation where, there is some kind of like a difference in perspectives or the way you perceive it or the way somebody else perceives it. There might be a kind of disagreement on that. Maybe there is some kind of distortion that's going on, how you look at it or how you should be looking at it or how somebody else looks at it and how they understand it and how they communicate. And there might be some kind of distortion in this whole process. It's something like, in the younger days, we had that game, right, where everybody would be connected through those I think it was big straws or something like this, and we had to say something through the straw, and the person heard it. And whatever they heard, they had to pass it on, and the last person in the row would actually blurt out what they heard through those bites, and we would know that it was totally different from what was actually started. It reminds me of that kind of the childhood game. So I don't think it's anything grim. It's just that sometimes, when we look at the same thing, like online also, like I've seen it on a lot of portals when, there's like, what do you see? Like, there's a picture of a vase and then it's in the shape of two people out there. And they ask you, what do you see? Do you see the vase or do you see two people in the picture? So it's just that, two people looking at the same picture and having different inferences. So now there's nothing about like this is wrong or that's wrong. It's just about our own perspectives, our own narratives. The only thing we have to be cautious about is not having the wrong narratives for our own selves. So it's like, sometimes we, from what we see, we kind of have it in our head, and then when we go back, the thing that narrow gets a little twisted because, some days or some hours have passed, and then when we rethink about it, we have another twisted narrative and things like that, and sometimes we don't know what to believe. And the same goes with other people as well. It's different how one situation, maybe 3-4 people are there in a disagreement. So how they view their disagreement, how they feel about it, it's gonna be different because because of how we're made. We're made of different elements. So everybody's viewpoint and perspectives will be different. Now it's all about ourselves. Are we twisting or distorting the narrative? Are we thinking it wrong? Are we remembering it wrong? Are we communicating it wrongly? Are we conveying it with the right words, the right tone, the right things there get distorted. They get there's a break, there is a discontinuity, there is something gets twisted in the way we perceive it and what we communicate and what the other person's understanding of it is and how they visualize it in their head. The whole story kind of transforms. So I feel this is that situation. I feel it could be something like that, because gaslighting is nothing but infusions, which is nothing but not doing the entire picture, not having the clarity. And then we kind of, we start feeling a certain type of way, even though the picture was something else. We remember it as something else, and then we feel something else. So how do we clear that space where everybody sees the same thing, where everybody understands the same thing, where everybody communicates in the same way, where everybody feels what we feel, and without distortion is able to communicate about that? That's what I feel. You need to find common ground, a way to communicate. If you're in this situation, fact check, like, do you even remember things the right way? Do you or are you distorting it in your own head, or is the other person distorting it? Or is this, like, even if you have the facts, or are you speaking all the facts? Even though you might remember it, you might feel that it's not necessary to put the facts out there, and the other person doesn't receive all the facts. So something gets distorted in what we feel is essential to say, what we feel is essential to communicate, versus what needs to be actually communicated. Because every word, every sentence, every fact has a meaning, has a place in the understanding of the complete big picture. So that's something that I feel needs to be paid attention to. Also, there needs to be a level of honesty. It's like, I want to feel it this way, or let's see who we're referring to here. What is the situation? Is it something about work? Maybe we're already having a negative connotation about a certain situation, or workplace, or team, or person. And then that adds kind of more negative perception to a certain situation. So it's just that maybe how were your past experiences, because that influences our narrative of an ongoing situation as well. For that, you should see a movie called as Gone Girl, and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. There are two characters over there in Amy and Nick, and you will understand what that movie is about. It's completely in sync with this energy, and the name of the movie is Gone Girl. So watch that, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna understand the essence of it. You're gonna understand how confusions can distort perspectives and things like that. Or if you want to watch, The Lighthouse also comes to mind. It's very, it's a little bit heavy. But The Lighthouse will actually tell you of the negative connotation of this energy of illusions and distortion, and how things get complicated and complex even though they don't need to. So The Lighthouse is a really good movie to get more insights into this energy. Now, if this is not your energy, this might be the energy playing out around you, whether in your house, in your neighborhood, in your family, in your community, at a global level even. Because there's so many false narratives that are going on these days, and then you perceive it as something else. And the next, if there's more clarification, there's another narrative, and you're confused like, what should I believe, this, that, or the third? So in today's time, especially with so many false misinformation, distorted pictures, and all of that going around, it's hard to pinpoint what the reality of our situation is, and then we form opinions which are hard to change and move and things like that. So today's times definitely is struggling with false narratives, false information. There's a lot of fact checking that does go on, but then the narratives that are spread out in the first time, they even affect political agendas, they affect funding, they affect the public image, and so many things go on with these false narratives that people are struggling to prove themselves, to prove a point, to understand what's going on, and even to speak their truth. Even when they speak their truth, that also comes out as distorted, to media channels who have their own agendas and things like that. So a lot of fact checking is necessary, and same goes for us too. At a personal level also, we need to fact check to see, are we really thinking it through? Are we really believing what is shown to us? Is that true? Is that maybe at your workplace, you have a presentation, somebody gives you a presentation, and you're like, I'm not convinced with this because I thought it was a different way. So you need to do your own fact checking as well, and just don't believe people. People can sell. Who knows? They can sell mountains to people. Who knows? Especially there are, especially marketing even, when we see the adverts on TV, They speak that sometimes the images are so distorted. Even when you're shopping online, the images are so distorted that when the product finally arrives and it's completely different from what we had perceived it to be online. So those kind of distorted truths can also be floating around, and they are floating around all the time. So you could be surrounded by something like this. So the only word of caution with this is to be mindful, to do your own due diligence, to fact check, to look at the things, don't avoid looking at the core plumbing of things. You'll figure out some hidden problems, whether it's actually in a house that you're trying to buy, and that's where you're trying to, maybe people are saying, oh, it's great, and or it's bad, it could go either ways. And then you are like, okay, and you buy into that opinion, and you're like, why did they say that, and things like that. So do your own due diligence, sometimes there are cheap materials that are used in construction, in maintenance, and it's covered up, by fancy, what do you call, the decor or something like that, which kind of, puts a mask on to the cheaper quality that was used for the groundwork or the framework or the structure and things like that. So maybe you're running into such illusion. So be careful at every level, especially when you're buying big ticket items. Make sure. The next card you have, Gemini, is the Queen of Swords. This is the sword suit. This is very much your energy out here at play, and it's just an extension of the energies that we pulled for you. So this is again about, clarity, extreme clarity, the clarity of thought, so that we can speak the truth, even if it might feel a little bit uneasy and comfortable. But here, because there is a queen energy, queens are receptive. It's not coldness, it's not detachment that we're referring to here. It's just that there is clarity, but you speak it with a lot of kindness, speak it with a lot of compassion. You have the power to see things clearly and to speak your truth, but this is not a sword that needs to be wielded to wound anybody. This is a sword that's needed for clarifying things, to bring the clarity, and yeah, so I feel that the good thing is that the gaslighting or the illusion energy, which was there right before this, will be cleared away, because you have the ability, you have the power to see things clearly, and to think independently, to stand up for your narratives, to defend your narratives, and speaking with the authority, not in a negative way. Authority doesn't mean domination. Authority just means knowing what you're speaking is true. And the Queen of Swords energy is also giving clarity to other people through picking the right words, communicating in the right ways, that other people also have the clarity. Now, again, Gemini Mercury is your ruler. Now, for the most part, of course, Mercury is your ruler and is happy in the collective Gemini space. But then sometimes our ruler is placed in a sign or in a house where it is a little bit distorted. It's not a positive position for Mercury to be in. So especially if there is a term called as debilitated in astrology, and if Mercury is debilitated for some odd reason, for you could be, then things will kind of become a little bit distorted. And that's where this clarity and the gaslighting needs to be, wielded in the right way, so that any kind of illusions are worked through or are sorted out, are clarified. But at the same time, we cannot be dismissive of other people's opinions, other people's feelings. And even though you have this Queen of Swords energy, use it in a compassionate, kind way, so that you're not hurting people with your words. Just to be honest. I mean, just in the name of honesty, that you're speaking a truth doesn't mean that there has to be harsh words, or there has to be a cruelty in the way you present yourself or your body language or your actions. So when you're using your mind power, your wisdom, your intellect, it should not be used as a weapon to humiliate other people or to dominate other people or to cut other people. This energy, like I said, it doesn't have to be hold energy. This is about being kind and being focused merely on the clarity of the situation for yourself and for other people. So a little bit of filter is needed as we speak. And the thing is that the Queen of Hearts energy is also about understanding how your truth is landing on the person that is hearing it. So yes, this is an energy of speaking your truth, but at the same time, not hurting other people, being mindful of everybody's emotions and feelings as well. So being empathy is also going to be an important part of this clarity and this energy. Because truth is meant to provide clarity. It's not meant to bring anybody down or dim anybody's light or to hurt and wound people. Now, this Queen of Swords energy is also, you can wield this sword at work as well. Like, when you're in a meeting, speak up. If things are not clear, speak up. If people don't get it, still speak up. So you need to communicate well. You need to write it down. Documenting things will be very important at this point in time. Also, some of you might be actually learning up a lot. Maybe it's a new subject or something, or maybe it's a subject that you already know and you're further enhancing your knowledge. So some of you could be into that as well. Or Queen of Swords energy is also somebody who is related to the media, speaking to a lot of people or journaling things or story writing, book writing, or even reading. This could be any area related to books, reading, being an independent thinker, being a group thinker, brainstorming, in meetings and things like that. So some of you could be in that situation as well. If you watch the movie Iron Lady, it's around this lady called Margaret Thatcher, and she has this perfect Queen of Swords energy. She's very decisive. She has that. She's an independent thinker, and it's like I really like that movie for you guys. You can watch that and get some more insights into this energy. I also liked a movie called Erin Brockovich. So it's been quite a while. It's a little older movie, but I really liked that movie, and that stuck with me because I saw it like 2-3 times, and I really liked it. And Erin Brockovich is like the ultimate energy of the Queen of Swords. She's very fierce. She speaks the truth. She fights injustice, and it's like using the yin energy, the yin intellect, used in a very mindful way. So it's a very nice movie for those of you interested in watching. And if you like a song, you can listen to Taylor Swift songs. So those of you that are Taylor Swift fans, you like the song Shake It Off. It's like, I'm just going to shake it off. So it's a lot of, Queen of Swords and an illusionary kind of a blend of these two energies. So Shake It Off, I really like that song by Taylor Swift. I also like the song, it's called Talking Heads. If I remember correctly, I think it was Talking Heads. And I think it's like a group of people that composed that. I love that song, Talking Heads. I think it goes like, how did I get here? You may ask yourself. It's a beautiful song. So Talking Heads, listen to that if you want to, invite this energy or work with this energy. Now, Gemini, if this is not your energy, you might be seeing this energy play out around you. It's like a lot of women are rising in politics theses or in law enforcement or in media. And a lot of feminine yin principle, these voices are, they are rising, they're on the rise. So you might get to see that, like women around you are participating in, whether they're in law enforcement, in law, and things like that. You might be feeling that you're surrounded by people that are in those fields of work. Or you might see some people like, like we, kind of, when we buy things that are online or whatever, or they ask us for a feedback of products and how did this go and things like that. You might be reviewing them, but be careful watch your words, how you review the product. Or you might be reading some reviews that are really harsh, but at the same time, they're giving you the clarity. So some of you could be into that space as well, where you're reading reviews about a product and getting to know, because there are people that are speaking their truth. So that could be for some of you as well. Now, I'm also picking up an energy of you might have to, maybe you're working in business that you're signing contracts. So you might have to be very discerning on to what kind of contracts you form, whether with companies, maybe you're a private business person and you need to sign some contracts. So what is there in the contract, how transparent it is, whether it's like in regards to real estate or your business, reading the fine print. Sometimes the contracts get twisted and you figure out later on. So reading that, being honest about it or understanding it, and then, if this is you trying to write up a contract, then explaining it, what exactly is there in the contract, what about the hidden pieces, what are the, if it's a business, what is the money, the finances, the evaluation, all of those things need to be discussed honestly, negotiated honestly, putting everything on the table for everybody out there. So a lot of transparency is also needed, especially when you're dealing in business or with independent contractors. So the recommended thing for you to do would be to ask those questions, like whether it's in regards to you paying a bill or whether it's in regards to a contract or something that you got. Ask people like, how does this work? What's this, that, and the third, so you get more clarity. You're able to put one and one together. It's just that you need the questions. So you don't have to be aggressive about it, but it's just that when you ask the questions, you get more clarity. You get the perspectives, you get the answers. Now, another thing about the Queen of Swords is authenticity. Like, there cannot be any drama, masking, pretending to see it a different way. So a lot of clarity, a lot of honesty, a lot of integrity, a lot of discernment is also part of the Queen of Swords energy. So you have to recognize if you're slipping up in any of those or if somebody else is slipping up. So you need to be mindful of that as well. So there's room for correction if you feel that there is slip up in any side from your side. And below here at the card, it says, me you see truly, me you speak honestly, me your clarity serve the truth. May your words heal and illuminate. May your mind be sovereign and your intelligence be a blessing. Embody this Queen of Wands, which has clear, compassion, courageous, and wise. The truth is your sword. Use both wisely. The world is waiting for you. And the last card for today, Gemini, you have is the space, time, and self. And further it says infinity, reincarnation, 5D. Trust in the places you feel guided towards. Okay, so this is clearly about like other dimensions. It's not just the 3D that we live in. It's 5D over here, it says. So it's about, and that is the truth. It's just recognizing that our soul, our consciousness is forever. It's eternal. I mean, it's we as humans, we come on this planet, we have a fixed lifetime. Our time here is like, a few decades here around here for 100, 200, 150 years. That's the human lifespan as far as it can go. But that's not what time is. Time is eternal. It's timeless, right? So I feel that this is more about not thinking of ourselves as a linear being. Like, this is more like, I think it's about your soul's journey here. Gemini, I feel that there is something that you're awakening to, that your soul has been around, and knowing that we have been part of this cosmos even before. Because, the pull that we feel towards certain situations, places, people, and things like that, is part of our blueprint based on our past life experiences on the same planet, as in some other body, in some other place. It could be any place. So when the soul has integrated all of those lessons, we kind of act in a certain way because of our higher consciousness that comes from our soul, the memories that our soul carries over lifetimes. So I feel that's what this is about. Further down on the card, it says, this is the moment your consciousness is ready to expand. You're ready to remember you're not limited to 3D, one lifetime, one small self. You're infinite. Remember that. Live from that. So I don't know if you're having some kind of a recollection of something, of a past life. It could be for some of you, but it's just that in general, this is more about, knowing that our soul is here to grow, to evolve, maybe across several lifetimes. Because one lifetime is, I don't think it's enough for us to, or our soul to learn everything or to evolve to its highest consciousness, because the souls keep recycling, coming back here across several lifetimes and things like that. So, I'm picking up that some of you are getting a deeper understanding about things, about the purpose, about your soul's purpose, your soul's journey, understanding the deeper truths, having more like cosmic perspectives of situations. Now, the only caveat with this energy is that, that with Gemini, you could lose yourself in 5D. You're like imagining things like, oh, I'm in 5D versus 3D. So you could be like, some kind of a disassociation from the real world. But the thing is that you might be rising in consciousness is what I'm picking up. Like you're rising in consciousness, knowing the deeper truths. And something will come out of this experience. Some thing will come out of knowing this, having this knowledge, or feeling more aware. Maybe you're going through some kind of a soul evolution, expansion, connected to spirituality or spiritual dimensions in some way. That could be for some of you. But it's just that it's just that we should not lose track of who we are in today on this 3D. Yeah, we're aware that we've been here. Maybe our souls have been cycled and coming over and over again. But then, staying in our present reality is going to be important. So don't get lost in 5D Gemini. Now, some of you could be into, researching quantum physics and things like that. There's lots going on these days in the spiritual world, multiverse, exploring the 5D, science-backed spirituality. There's a lot that's going on in the spiritual world that says that some of you could be part of that as well. Some of you might also be feeling like you have multiple versions of yourself. Like, you have like multiple, interests, or, multidimensional kind of a vibe, or maybe multiple personas, or I would say multiple feelings and versions. Yeah, that's what I'm picking up on. Like you might be feeling like you're living two different timelines, or parallelly you're living some, different kind of timelines, or I would say that you could be like kind of combining things, like, taking the ancient wisdom and, putting a modern spin on it, like using modern tools, gadgets, technology, who knows. Like you might be tapping into ancient wisdom and, making it more of a scientific approach and putting a modern spin on it, or the new day, modern age look and feel to it, or something like that. because I definitely am picking up some kind of knowledge, like spiritual knowledge, secret practices, being reused, or, it's like reused, reclaimed, or I would say, something like older traditions being revived. Maybe you're into revival of older traditions, that embody some kind of ancient wisdom, and you're reviving it now, or you're applying it or using it in some way, shape, or form. That could be for some of you. Now, this can also be possible for the projects that you're doing, or some business that you're opening, that you're creating a business out of something which is, from the past, to like way in the past, and you're applying that into creating some system for the future, so it's like combining two different timelines of the past and the future in the present. So some of you could be into that as well. Or some of you could be dealing with something ancestral, maybe a passed down from ancestors or something like that as well. Or maybe you're visiting ancestral places, your villages, your towns and cities, your homes, with those sentiments. Now, some of you could be into spiritual practices like, yoga, where you're able to access higher dimensions. Some of you could be even taking to some form of dance that allows you to tap into that consciousness expression. Now, for some of you, this also reminds me with the picture, the image in the picture, there's like the eyes are seeing it. There's an inner knowing. So I feel it's very connected to the High Priestess in the Rider-Waite, but this is about an inner knowing, which a logic defies. You can't explain it, you can't fact check it, but it's just that because you're so connected to the cosmos and the higher consciousness, so some of you could just feel things like, I thought it would be that way, even though, the fact said something else, or the presentation said something else. I could pick up on what's the underlying principle behind it, or seeing beyond the surface for something like that. Some of you could be seeing through it, whether it's people's words, actions, or maybe a situation outside in the world itself. You're like, okay, you know what, they're saying this. I saw the news the other day, but I feel it's the other way around. And then maybe you hear a correction about it, or some other perspective validating your beliefs. So something like that also could be possible, where you're understanding, you're having a deep feeling, deep knowing, even though the news or the fact are saying a different story. So that could be for some of you. Now, some of you might feel and look very radiant, feeling like the bright light within you is extending outwards. So some of you might feel and look, more younger. You have more energy, you're appearing brighter, more wiser. It's like beyond your years, meaning you say things or feel things, make choices that might feel like, you're tapping into the collective consciousness. Now, to wrap up this energy at the bottom of the card, it says, you are older than you thought. Like, that's exactly the vibe I get. Like, you're so happy. So thank you guys for joining. Please subscribe and hit the like if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye for now.